Okay. Now, when we know the structure, let's discuss about some function of the cell membrane. And first thing first, it is containing, yes, two major part. You should not forget this point. This is very crucial. Examiner, whenever he is giving a marks, he will see that you wrote this point or not. So, proteins and lipids. So, one by one, we are discussing the lipids. So, let's see the functions of lipid first of all. What is the function of lipids? Why the lipids are so important? We are discussing so much about the lipids. So, let's discuss. First thing first, the lipid must be there in the cell membrane. Why? Because it will provide the structural integrity. It will provide the structural integrity. First thing first. What else? It will provide the flexibility, or you can write fluidity. Our skin, for example, it is also made up of, they are also cells, right, and it is also having a cell membrane. The elasticity of every cell, whenever we are discussing the endocytosis or exocytosis, you must be knowing that there is a shift of the lipids and protein. So, this fluidity and flexibility of the cell membrane, it is provided by the lipids, not the proteins, right. Then third thing, solubility. Now, what do you mean by solubility over here? Remember, the lipid molecules are there and they are providing the solubility. So, that's why which thing they will allow, or what soluble things they will allow? Yes, the cell membrane will allow the lipid soluble substances. They will allow the lipid soluble substances. That means the lipid soluble substance can easily pass through the cell membrane. I am writing a short form for the cell membrane, that is CM, right. Just save the time for the you and me also, both, so that we can cover more and more, yes, concepts. So, lipid soluble substance which can easily pass through. For example, if I have to take the gases, various gases, right, the cholesterol which are absorbed from the GIT, right, gases, cholesterol, gases means, yes, oxygen and carbon dioxide majorly. So, they will go through the diffusion. They need not, the cell must not have any protein for that, for matter channels or any other things, cell surface receptor or something like that, right. Some hormones, for example, the thyroid and steroid hormone, the thyroid and the steroid hormones. They also can cross because they are lipid soluble. They are lipid soluble, so they can pass through it. And what else in the vitamins which are lipid solubles? Yes, the A, D, E and K. A, D, E and K. So, these are the functions of lipids, and that is why the lipid is so important, and that is why even the scientists give the importance, Singer's, he gave the importance that he defined it, the cell membrane, he defined that it is a sea of lipid in which the proteins are mosaically, yes, inserted. Right, they are randomly inserted. Before that, for your knowledge, if you want to write it, you can mention that Danieli model was there, right. What they said that their hypothesis was there is a lipid layer on which the proteins are present, right. The proteins are not going through and through, they are present on the layer of the lipid. That was the, yes, that was the hypothesis of a scientist who is known as Danieli, and that model is known as Danieli model, which is not usually asked to the UG student, but if you want to write it, you can mention that too. Okay, we discussed about the lipid. Let's discuss the second part, that is the proteins, right. What about the proteins? Why the proteins are important? Remember, the protein, we said that the lipid is only allowing the lipid soluble substance. There must be someone who is allowing or who can transport the water soluble substance or lipid insoluble substance. So, the protein are actually helping in the transport and action of, it is, they help in transport and the action of, yes, what thing? Water soluble, or for that matter you can write lipid insoluble substances, water soluble and lipid insoluble substances. And how they are helping it, right? So by acting as, first thing first, they can act as a ion channels. Which can act as a ion channel? The, yes, which proteins are going through and through, that they are the integral proteins which act as a ion channels, right? What else? Or pumps, or pumps. We will discuss the pumps in detail whenever we are discussing the transport across the cell membrane. So ion channel or pumps. What else? The ion channel, they are made up of tunnel proteins. There are specific type of proteins which make the tunnel protein, tunnel like protein, right? For example, if I have to draw it, they are like a tunnel. They are like a tunnel through which any, for example, sodium or potassium or calcium, right? They are the ions. The ions can go through and through. So they are acting like a tunnel, right? The channel, as I told you, it is term for term used for, this term is used for charged particle, charged particles, charged particles, right? So if I have to ask the protein to allow the water, how it will allow the water? First of all, it will break it down into H plus and OH minus ion, and it will diffuse it. Why? Because the H plus and OH minus now having the charge, right? And that's how it get diffused inside the cell, right? What else? The protein may act as a aquaporins, pores, that means holes, right? Aquaporins. In the kidney, they do have a major, important and crucial role for water absorption, right? The aquaporins. What else? For solutes, for example, sugar, any amino acid which is nothing but the short form of the protein. So they use a carrier or transporter. For example, sugar and amino acids, they use carrier or transporter. For example, for glucose, remember to give examples wherever possible that will add in your marks. For glucose, there is a channel which is GLUT, right? There are approximately 13 to 14 types of GLUT till now or till date are discovered, right? So GLUTs for the transport of the glucose. What else? The water soluble hormones which are polypeptide. Remember, water soluble hormones. We discussed the lipid soluble hormones which are the thyroid and steroid. So left all are the water soluble hormones. So they are made up of many proteins, that is polypeptide chain. So they are made up of what thing? Polypeptide chain. So they are the large size molecule. They are large size molecules, are big in size, so they cannot go through the cell membrane, right? Cell membrane is 7.5 nanometer. So if the polypeptides are bigger than that, what will happen? It is not economical to send them inside and make them have their action. So what we do is we insert a cell surface receptor for them. Cell surface receptor for them, right? For example, if I took the example of thyroid and steroid, they can go inside the cell and have the action, right? But if I take, for example, insulin, what will happen is the insulin will go on its cell surface receptor, go and attach on that. For example, this molecule is, suppose this molecule is, yes, what thing? Insulin molecule. So it's its cell surface receptor. On that receptor it will go and attach, and that's how it will have its action inside the cell, right? So that is the provision for polypeptide molecules, that is the hormones, right? What else? The protein, we are discussing about the protein. They can act as the enzymes, various enzymes which are important in functioning, right, of every system. So enzyme, learning a lot, you are learning a lot about the enzymes in the biochemistry, right? Enzymes, you can give any example of that. The proteins are acting as enzymes too. They can act as an antigen. You must be knowing about MHC1 and MHC2. Wherever the nucleus is present, we do have MHC1 on that cell, right? And MHC2 are nothing but the foreign antigens. Through this system only we can know that this cell is ours or it is the foreign antigen, that is foreign, either it can be a cell of bacteria, viruses or any foreign body via the MHC2. MHC1 are present in our body, right? If the antibodies are made for MHC1, that can lead to autoimmune disease, which is pathology, right? But usually the antibodies are not formed against the MHC1 in the healthy person, right? Okay. Now the question comes, like in the Viva especially, why the antigen are made up of protein only? Why not lipids? Because remember, the variation, the permutation combinations possible in the proteins are more, because the proteins are having how many amino acids? 20 amino acid. Now some research says that there are 23 amino acids are present, but till now it's not came in the book, so will remain for the 20. So 20 amino acids are present. For example, you take your mobile number, they are of 10 digits. So various permutation combinations are possible if the numbers are 10. What if the phone numbers or the mobile numbers of only 3 digits? There are less combinations, variations are possible. So that's why because of the presence of different 20 amino acids, there are various variations are possible. So that's why they act as the protein act as a best antigen, best antigen. So that is all about the cell membrane. So this is what is the summary that you have to write if in exam you got the long question for the, like for example 6 marks or 8 marks. Yes, then you should write about all these points. First of all, describe, write something, draw a diagram, give the schematic presentation and explain it very well, and you will get the full marks, almost full marks, if you write it correctly, right? All the points, all the important points. Okay, let's discuss, we discuss about the cell membrane. So let's discuss about some other topic related to cell, that is cell junctions. Usually the short note for 3 or 4 marks can be asked on this topic, cell junction. So shortly let's discuss what is cell junctions and what are their types, right? So cell are attached to each other. Now how they are attached, depending on that their properties are there, right? So first thing first, there are junctions which are tightly adhered to each other. So that's why the junctions are known as tight junctions. Tight junctions, right? So where these tight junctions are present, they are present on the outer membrane, right? There are outer membrane and inner membrane in the cell layer, right? The outer membrane is made up of head, inner membrane is made up of, yes, obviously the head and tail, the another layer. It is a bilayer Singer's and Nicholson model. So there are two layers, inner and outer. Tight junction is present on the outer membrane. It is present on outer membrane.